going on, guys? JSGC here, and we are here for another Manchester City transfer video. Today we're going to be looking at 5 players that could replace Julian Alvarez in the Manchester City squad. It's not just limited to attackers and strikers, but looking in general at the squad, because there is that distinct possibility that Manchester City could well replace Julian Alvarez's position in the squad with a central defensive midfielder, that number 6, number 8 as well. So we'll look at some attackers, we'll look at some central midfielders, and we'll see what direction Manchester City could choose to push forward to as we now go into less than 3 weeks left of the summer transfer window. So before I do crack on with this video, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content, do leave a thumbs up. 200 likes is the aim. Do let me know your thoughts as well in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new around here. Remember, daily Manchester City transfer videos coming for you guys to enjoy. Also, don't forget as well to go and check out my social media links, which you can find in the description. So we're going to crack on with this video. We're going to start off, no particular order by the way, we're just going to start off by speaking about the attackers first, and I want to speak about Eberechi Eze over at Crystal Palace. Now, he's a 26-year-old forward for Crystal Palace. He's English, so it does mean he's homegrown, which is always a little bit more of a bonus when it comes to registering players as part of the Manchester City squad, as you do have a quota to meet as per the Premier League, and also when you qualify for European competitions like the Champions League, you need homegrown players from that country and from your club as well. He does have a release clause worth £60 million, and also versatile. He can play on the right wing, the left wing. He can also play as that false 9, as the second striker. Erling Haaland picks up an injury. You could see Eze starting as Man City striker, who will drop a little bit deeper, and I'd expect the likes of De Bruyne, Foden to be starting, and also utilising the wingers as well to try and contribute with goals. But he can also play in central midfield as well. So a versatile, good, solid option to directly replace Julian Alvarez in the squad. So going from a striker to signing a versatile attacker would make sense from Manchester City's point of view. If we do want an attacker, there aren't that many options out there in the window, so I think Eze would be the most realistic for Manchester City to go for, and also City have held an interest in Eze for the last 12 months, so it's not just a rushed signing, it's something that City have clearly been thinking about and been interested in making a move for. They've just not been in a position to do so up until Julian Alvarez leaving Manchester City, which I'm expecting to come at some point in the next 7 days. Now, player number 2 I want to speak about, and his name has been getting linked with Manchester City, is Rodrygo. Now, this isn't just limited to looking at just this window. I'm more just looking at who Man City could replace Alvarez with in the squad, and there is that possibility that Man City may not do any more business in this window, and if that is the case, then it leaves a hole in Manchester City's squad, but it gives us more time. It gives us an additional few months to go to the winter transfer window, or more realistically towards next summer instead. And Rodrigo is a name who keeps cropping up for Manchester City. 23-year-old Brazilian forward, has a whopping €1 billion release clause at Real Madrid. It's not going to happen in terms of that price. It would be very expensive, but we do know that Rodrigo does like Manchester City. He thinks Man City are the best team in the world, and he likes how Pep Guardiola has Manchester City playing. He has been buttering up Manchester City. He's not made any secret of that, but he's also not made any secret that he's not interested this summer in a move to Manchester City. So it's not going to happen this summer. But what I do want to keep an eye on, and I keep reiterating this point because I firmly believe in this point, is you have a good look at Real Madrid's squad, and competition for places there is very high. You look at, they tend to play with Jude Bellingham as their false 9, their striker, and they'll play with 2 wing backs who are going to invert and act as their second strikers basically. So you'll have left wing and right wing occupying as a front 3, and it tends to be Vinicius Jr. going on the left hand side with Rodrigo on the right hand side, Bellingham going through the middle, something that worked really well for Real Madrid last season and helped them, of course, to knock Manchester City out of the Champions League and go on to win the competition as well. But they've done some summer business. They've bought Endrick in from Brazil, who's providing competition now as an attacker, and you've also, more importantly, seen them sign the very experienced, world-renowned Kylian Mbappe. Now, Kylian Mbappe, for the amount of money they're spending on his wages and the signing on fee, will be a starting 11 player. Mbappe will be part of that Real Madrid first team squad. Not there for rotation. He's not there to not be starting in the big games. He will be starting in every single big game that he is available to be in. And because of that, it means that one of them front three players is going to be missing. Now, I don't see the brand of Vinicius Jr. missing out. They spent so much money on Jude Bellingham, who's had a great season with Real Madrid. I don't see him missing out. So I feel like Rodrygo is the odd one out. And with Endrick being a young player, I can see him being the other player that potentially misses out. But over the coming 2 or 3 seasons, they'll start to embed him into the squad. So there is going to be that one player that's going to be the odd one out. And right now, on paper, I think that might be Rodrygo. And if that is the case, it could be the same situation that Man City have had with Julian Alvarez, where you're getting regular minutes and regular starts, but if you're not starting in the biggest of games, in the Champions League matches, when you're getting towards quarterfinals, semi-finals and finals, if you're not that player that's starting, because one of them players of Bellingham, Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo and Mbappe isn't going to be starting if Carlo Ancelotti sticks with that same tactic that's worked so well in the previous season, which would be silly not to stick with that, considering it is tried and tested and has worked. So if that is the case and Rodrigo misses out, he could become unhappy, and if that is the case, he may want to ask for a transfer away. And I'd say that if Man City do have that gap in the squad still, then Rodrigo could be a very expensive but also a viable option. Certainly not this summer, but I think something to think about for next summer if we still have this problem in our squad with not filling the void in attack from Julian Alvarez leaving. Now, moving on, more likely that in this window City will look at that gap in the number 6, number 8 role, and I think it's the most important position that we've got in our squad that's not being filled. So there's some players that I do want to speak about. First of that is Bruno Guimaraes. £100 million release clause has come and gone for the 26-year-old Brazilian central midfielder for Newcastle United. He can play in that number 6 and he can play in that number 8, which means he can alternate with Rodri, but he can also complement Rodri and play alongside him as well. He's got Premier League experience. He's a fantastic player who I'd really like Manchester City to go out there and sign. Now, maybe if Man City do go near that release clause price of £100 million, which, considering Man City have done very little business, it wouldn't hurt our net spend to spend upwards of towards £100 million on a player. The problem, I think, in this transfer is that Bruno G's words all summer has hinted towards him staying at Newcastle rather than leaving, and for him to then leave Newcastle in the coming 3 weeks would be a very difficult decision for him to make, considering he's already made these comments that he's so proud to be at Newcastle United. He wants to help them to achieve. He feels like his business isn't finished at Newcastle United. He's proud that he's their captain. He wants to stay at Newcastle, and because of that, he's not going to force the transfer, which makes this transfer just that little bit more difficult. And with less than 3 weeks left in the window, I just can't see it happening. But Man City may want to test the water, and if they do want to test the water, they're going to have to act very quickly. Can be done, near enough impossible, but there's still a little bit of hope. I don't personally think that the transfer will happen, which is why I've got other players to speak about. First of them, Joshua Kimmich, a more achievable transfer than Bruno Guimaraes right now. 29-year-old German defensive midfielder, versatile because he can cover in defence and at right back as well. He can help alternate with Rodri, he can play alongside him, he can also take a little bit of pressure off John Stones in terms of his injuries. He could allow Rico Lewis to push further forward into midfield and can also alternate with Kyle Walker as well. A good solid option. He's only got 1 year left on his Bayern Munich contract right now, so it would be a fairly cheap transfer for Manchester City to make happen. Bayern, they would prefer a sale this summer rather than letting Kimmich leave for free, and Bayern Munich are looking to really try and freshen up that squad with some player sales as they're looking to try and get right back to the top of German football, trying to get the Bundesliga back and trying to push on in the Champions League as well, but they need to freshen up their squad, so some of their players are becoming available now. Kimmich would rather leave next summer for free than leave this summer. We know that Kimmich likes working with Pep Guardiola. He's worked with him previously and he likes working with him. Pep Guardiola likes working with Kimmich. Manchester City like Joshua Kimmich as well. So to me, it is a very doable transfer. The big problem here is his wage. His wage is around €320,000 per week, which means he'd be expecting something similar, if not more, if he was to make the transfer from Bayern Munich to Manchester City. But for what you're paying on wage, you are saving in a big transfer fee, because we won't be spending £100 million on Joshua Kimmich, and you could put him on a 3 or a 4 year deal rather than looking at a 5 or 6 year deal due to his age. So again, a player of interest, and something I think for Manchester City to think about. Now, the final player I want to speak about is a younger option, Adam Wharton, 20-year-old central midfielder, English, plays for Crystal Palace, can help covering that number 6, number 8 role. I wonder what the fee's going to be here, because Crystal Palace will sell their best players for a really good price. You're seeing that with Eze and his release clause of £60 million. You've seen Elise already leave Crystal Palace to go to Bayern Munich this summer. So they will sell their best players, and they don't tend to rip off clubs either. So I wonder if Adam Walton was to have a price, because they paid around £20 million for him, how much they'd be willing to accept, because I can't see City really wanting to spend more than £50 to £60 million at a very maximum on a potential alternative to Rodri. Now, we know that Man City are keen on Adam Wharton. They want to keep an eye on his development. They don't think he's ready yet to join Manchester City. They want him to have another year or two at Crystal Palace before they think that he may be ready for City to make that move. And if that is the case, then sometimes you're best waiting. But in that 12 to 24 months, I would expect other strong interest coming in particular from other Premier League clubs who could steal the march on Manchester City. And because of that, if City are genuinely interested in a year or two's time in signing Adam Wharton, considering we've got the gap in the squad now, that gap might not be there in 12 to 24 months' time. If Adam Wharton is the player that Manchester City want, rather than waiting, the hole's there, fill it, bring him in and embed him into the squad, because in 12 to 24 months' time, training and working around the very best players in the world, with the best coach, with the best facilities, he could also prosper. And if it is for an affordable price, I think it would make sense to make a move. But I'm only speculating on that price. There is no factual information based on £50 to £60 million would be enough to sign Adam Wharton. However, that would be the price roughly that City would be looking to spend on a player, because City wanted to drag the heels over Lucas Paquetá, £70 to £80 million, same with Bruno G. I don't think Man City, with the lack of experience that Wharton's got, would be willing to pay an extra £10 to £20 million as a premium. But he's a Premier League player, so that comes with a Premier League premium tax, and also English, which comes with an English tax as well. So it further complicates the transfer, which is, well, everything's complicated, which is why I think Man City are just carefully thinking about what they want to do. But the longer that they carry on, the more clubs I think that City are going to be desperate, that City will have to pay a little bit more. City won't do that, and City will walk away and end up doing no more business in this window. So if Man City do want to act, I would say that in the next 7 to 10 days is massive in terms of Manchester City's transfer business for the remainder of this window. And of course, I will be keeping you guys up to date every single step of the way, every single day, with daily Manchester City transfer updates. So if you haven't already, do subscribe to my channel. It is free to subscribe. Social media links, they're in the description if you want to go and follow me on my Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up. 200 likes is the aim. And do leave your thoughts as well in the comments below, including if Man City were to do one more bit of business in this window, in filling that gap in the squad for Julian Alvarez. Do you want to add an attacker or a midfielder? And if whichever position you prefer, which player would you like to see Manchester City sign? Do let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you all again religiously tomorrow for my daily Manchester City transfer update. So I've been JSGC. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope everyone is safe and well. Peace. Ciao for now.